So you're welcome to this tutorial. Let's go straight. We are starting with simple basic sleeve. Simple basic sleeve, that's the simplest sleeve you can draft as a beginner, and a lot of sleeves also are available for you to learn. So our materials that we'll be using are measuring tape, your marker, your pencil, but I think I will use pencil, your scissors, your pattern master, your French cord, your pattern paper. Those are the materials we'll be needing for this tutorial. So let's go down to the line. For beginners who do not know how to take body measurement yet, or who is confused about taking body measurements, we are going to show you how to take a proper body measurement. So going straight to this simple basic sleeve, what you need is your round sleeve, that's short form of round sleeve, that's RS. You need your sleeve length, you need your cap sleeve or sleeve head, either cap sleeve or sleeve head. Then you need your armhole circumference. All this, you need the round sleeve, that's the bicep area. Most times is measured from the shoulder to 8 inches or 7 inches, depending on how tall the person is. Then the length of your sleeve. Then the cap sleeve. The cap sleeve is always the distance between the shoulder head and the armpits. When you watch the video of how to take a proper body measurement, all that will be shown to you. That's the cap sleeve. Then we have the armhole circumference, that is measuring through your client or your own armhole circumference. It should be loose, it shouldn't be tight. So those are the measurements that is needed. So let's go straight to the point. This person's cap sleeve is 4 inches, okay, and the round armhole measurement is 16 inches. Okay, so the first step is to draft your sleeve head. Like I said, the sleeve head is 4 inches. So we mark 4 inches like this. This is the folded end of your paper, is folded like this. So you take your measurement from the folded end like so, and then mark. So this is the sleeve head or cap sleeve, whichever name you call it. All right, now I said the armhole circumference of this person is 16 inches. When you divide 16 by 2, you have 8 inches. So you're going to mark that same 8 inches under your line, under your sleeve head line or cap sleeve line. Okay, 16 divided by 2, that's 8 inches. That's what you're marking from the folded end to wherever the 8 inches is. Are we following? So from that 8 inches, you connect to the peak end of your pattern like so. You connect it there like that. All right, and you have a diagonal line like this. So the next thing you do is to measure your diagonal line. Apparently, when you do that, most of the time it's always increased by 1 inch. It's always increased by 1 inch. We had 8 inches as the armhole circumference, and then when we draw that diagonal line, it ends up being 9 inches. So most of the time, just be on the lookout. It might increase by 1 inch or maybe a 3/4 of an inch thereabout. Okay, so the next thing you do is on this same diagonal line, divide the line into 2. This is 9 inches you have measured. Divide it into 2. You have 4.5 that's the midpoint of this diagonal line. The midpoint is 4.5 inches. So on that midpoint now, you come up by half of an inch. You come up by half. At this stage, we are trying to get the front of the sleeve and the back of the sleeve. We are trying to differentiate it. Are we together? So we have to come up by half of an inch from that midpoint. Then the next thing is to get this curve. You see all these curves, they are very, very essential in your journey to pattern drafting. If you want to do a freehand, no problem, you can use your hand. But if you want to draft as be a pattern drafter, all these curves, they are very, very essential for you to use. So when you are done with this, all you need to do is to just continue that line downward to where the beginning of your 8-inch, to where your 8 inches ends at the initial stage. I don't know if you are still following, but this is very, very simple and easy to get. So just connect your line to that line again. You see, so this is what we have got at the end of the day. Now this becomes the back of your sleeve. Your sleeve has back and it has front. Okay, so this first drawing that you've done is called the back of the sleeve. Now to get the front, all you need to do is to turn your curve again downward, like I have put down. Okay, and then draw to that midpoint first. Okay, then from the midpoint you connect it to where the head of the back sleeve is. Okay, just like this. All right, so eventually this is what we have got. You just use your curve to tighten it up, you know, so that there won't be any confusion there. I hope you can see. So this now is the front of the sleeve. Okay, you turn your curve downward, you get this curve towards here first, then you connect it back to the front. Okay, back to the head of the sleeve. So this is your sleeve pattern. Now I told you to get your round sleeve, the bicep, you measure 8 or 7 inches down from the shoulder. So this is it. I'm measuring 8 inches down the sleeve. Okay, from your shoulder downward, measure 8 inches. You'll be able to get your bicep. Her round sleeve is 13 inches. That's 6.5. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5. So you mark 6.5 also here, and then you're going to connect this point here to your 6.5. To draft a simple basic sleeve is very, very easy. It's not hard if you follow the step-by-step approach. Okay, you can see. So all this that we've drafted now is a sloper because there is no allowance. We're not adding any allowances yet. So from your measurement, by the time you measure your fabric, whatever allowance you are leaving on your main bodies, you should extend it. This is just half an inch. I will increase it by half an inch. Okay, but most of the time it is always good to leave a sufficient allowance in case the person's body structure changes or something. All right, so this is now the seam allowance of half an inch. You can add 1 inch, you can have 1.5, you can have 2, inches. We've had a lot of experiences of people whose body measurement has allowance, but when it comes to their sleeve, there is no allowance. That's because a lot of people don't understand that calculation. So when you are done drafting your basic bodies like this, add as much as allowance as you want. You can add 2 inches, but whatever you add at this place is what you will add here also. Okay, so let's go back to the main purpose of today. So now this is the back and this is the front. I'm going to cut the sleeve out, but I'm going to cut from the back because there's difference between the back and the front. When I'm done cutting the back, then I'll proceed to the front. Alright, so we notch the center like so, then we open it. Now this is it. We have the whole structure of the sleeve that we have now is just the back, because we've not shaped out the front. This is the back, this is the back. So now we are going to separate the front and the back together. So we label this to be back. Now then this remains the front. So we are going to trim out the curves of the front so that we'll be able to actually have our front and back. Good. So this happens to now be the front and this is the back. There is depth at the front. The front is always deeper than the back because there's more curve at the front than at the back. There's no more curve. There's not much curve at the front. I mean at the back. There is curve at the front. So when you put it together, you could see the difference in their shapes. You could see the difference in their shapes. So when you are done drafting, make sure that when you draft on your fabric also, you have the same thing. When you want to sew your sleeve on your fabric, make sure the front is facing the front and the back is facing the back. You can pin at the center, okay, pin at the center, and then make the front come to the front and make the back go to the back. You will see that by the time you finish sewing the dress, it's going to be very, very structured and fit.